Hummel's Kentuckiana meteorologist Katie McGraw tells us how much longer the snow will last.
And we have crews out across the area. We'll give you a live look at conditions all across Louisville as the city experiences a record-breaking snowfall.
Good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm Rachel Collier.
And I'm Valerie Chin. Snow left roads across Kentuckiana a little messy. This is a look at I-265 near State Street in New Albany from the WDRB Skycam.
Katie McGraw is outside in the water garden to let us know if the snow is coming to an end anytime soon. Katie.
It is. It's hard to believe because it has just been continuing all morning long, but I can even attest to it standing outside that a couple hours ago when I got to work, how much harder the snow was coming down. Even though there are still a couple of flurries right now, we're starting to see the snow lighter. But you also notice on this radar right next to me that we still have this band of snow right over parts of the metropolitan area, including Jefferson County down into Bullitt, and that's where we currently are seeing the highest snowfall totals. The National Weather Service at their office have just told us they've seen 11.6 inches, so just shy of a foot of snow. A little bit closer here and looking right over our viewing area instead of looking at the storm as a whole, we're just looking at the past couple of hours and how this band just continued to churn right over just a small chunk, while some of us have seen a lot of the snow wrap up right over the metro areas where we're continuing to see some of that snow. And I think that in the next 2-3 hours is when we're really going to start to see these final flakes wrap up. Currently it's 31 degrees. We're still seeing a couple of these snow showers. We are going to be seeing them again continue to get less and less over the next couple of hours, and that's going to allow the road crews get to all of those secondary streets over the next couple of hours. So this is what you can expect throughout the rest of today. A late day high of 38 degrees, and you also notice how that precipitation chance gets down to only a 10% shot at 5 p.m. That will just be a few final flurries, but this band of snow is just going to really fall apart by that time. Speaking of the roads, we're actually going to get a check of the conditions of the roads across the area with our Hayden Ristesi, and she's going to tell us what it looks like out there.
Good morning. I am out on the Snyder. I want to show you what conditions look like here. Let me turn the camera around, show you what things are looking like. You can see that the roadway is very wet, very slushy, lots of snow on the New Cut exit here. We are heading eastbound, and we have seen cars sliding off all over the place in this area this morning. These road conditions were very slick, even worse than they are right now. Earlier this morning, that heavy snow was coming down, causing a lot of trouble for drivers. Check out this video of a fat tire beer truck that crashed going eastbound on an overpass over I-65. The driver was hurt and taken to the hospital. That crash caused a big backup, stopping traffic for several miles. The roadway was closed for many hours this morning, but it has since reopened. We saw cars spun out all over the area, as I mentioned, including one on New Cut Road by Iroquois Park. Roadways and interstates across the area are still in pretty bad shape out here this morning. So please, folks, make sure that you are still taking your time and going slow, leaving that space between you and the car in front of you. These conditions are still very dangerous, and caution is definitely imperative to get around safely today. That's all for now. We're going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Reporting from the Gene Snyder Freeway, Hayden Ristevsky, WDRB News.
Hayden, thank you. WDRB viewers sending in their snow pictures today. Lynn sent us this picture of the snow piling up on her bird bath in her backyard. Amber took this picture of the snow on the ground on Cedar Grove Road. That's in Shepherdsville. And snow is always much more fun if you're a kid. Ashley sent us this picture of her children playing in the snow in Okolona. We'd like to see your snow pictures. You can post them on the WDRB Facebook page. To keep up with the latest on the snow, download our free WDRB weather app. That's where you'll find an interactive radar, a video forecast, and 7-day forecast. To download the app, head over to iTunes or Google Play.
A bombing spree in Texas comes to an explosive end, and we've just learned the name of the suspect. Investigators say 24-year-old Mark Anthony Condit blew himself up overnight as a SWAT team closed in on him. He was in his car outside a hotel. Since March 2nd, 5 package bombings killed 2 people and injured several others. Investigators believe Condit made all of the bombs used in those attacks. Officials are warning the public more bombs could be placed around the area.
We are concerned that there still may be other devices out there, and we want to make sure that if people see suspicious packages or bags, they continue to call 911 and report that to the police.
Police still don't know the motive behind the deadly bombings. A judge raises the bond for U of L employee accused of sharing hundreds of child porn pictures online.
Judge Sean Delahanty called 33-year-old Christopher Dressing a danger to the community. Investigators say in online chats, Dressing said he wanted to adopt a child so he could abuse them. His attorney requested home incarceration, but the judge instead raised his $5,000 bond to $50,000. U of L says Dressing worked as an administrative assistant in the Ekstrom Library. He's been placed on leave. Kentucky State Police have not said what computer Dressing used to allegedly upload the pictures. The judge suggested a mental health screening, saying Dressing appeared distraught. A jury recommends a 20-year prison sentence for the man who killed a 6-year-old Kentucky boy. That same jury found Ronald Exantis not guilty of murder by reason of insanity on Monday, but found him guilty but mentally ill for assault. Exantis killed Logan Tipton as he slept in the family's home in Versailles. The defense argued that Exantis' mind was trapped in a nightmare. A judge will hand down an official sentence in a few weeks.
The man who dropped his pants in a Louisville courtroom apologizes to the judge who sent him to jail for it.
I would like to apologize to you first. I'd like to also apologize to you and all the other sheriffs that were present. I made a very dumb decision, and this has been like the worst 2 days of my life. I learned my lesson, and I can't express to you how sorry I am.
That's 20-year-old Austin Boone addressing Judge Stephanie Burke in court Friday. Last Wednesday, she sentenced him to 7 days in jail for taking his pants off in court after he was asked to pull them up. He was originally in court to face fines for speeding and possession of drug items. Boone appeared in court again Friday to say he was sorry. Judge Burke accepted his apology and suspended the rest of his 7-day sentence. Jeffersontown is suing the company that provided body cameras for the police department. The J-Town city attorney says Digital Ally provided the cameras. The cameras sometimes would not turn on or would turn on unexpectedly. The police department says it used $100,000 of confiscated drug money for the pilot program. They're trying to recoup that money through the lawsuit. Police do not believe the equipment failed in a case where the cameras would have made a difference.
Body cameras, a key feature of them is that they have to be dependable. The public has a right to trust in what they show.
Digital Ally has not returned our calls for comment. The Kentucky Senate passed its version of a state budget.
The Senate plan fully funds the pension systems. It includes many of the budget cuts Governor Matt Bevin wanted, but provides more money for education. The Senate plan does not include a 50-cent increase to the cigarette tax or a 25-cent per dose tax on opioid prescriptions.
There simply is not the support to do one-off tax increases in this chamber, and so we went ahead and went with the governor's revenue numbers.
House and Senate leaders will now work on differences between the spending plans before a final vote.
Snow invades Kentuckiana at the beginning of spring. This is a live look at the radar. You can see the snow is still churning over our area. We'll be right back.
Snow is falling across Kentuckiana. This is a live look from downtown Louisville, where we're seeing big snow totals. We'll be showing you the areas that accumulated the most and breaking down how much snow fell throughout this newscast. We're not the only ones dealing with winter weather on this first full day of spring. Another historic nor'easter is hitting the East Coast today. Snow and sleet will nail New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, and parts of Pennsylvania. Widespread power outages are possible because winds could reach 35 miles per hour. This is the fourth major storm to hit the region in 3 weeks.
A Maryland student is describing the moments when shots rang out inside his school. Annalisa Gale explains who the student says saved the day and stopped the gunman.
While 2 students remain in the hospital, senior Isaiah Tishner is struggling with what he says he witnessed on Tuesday morning at Great Mills High School.
I turn around and I see the shooter right behind me, walking up to me with the gun at his head like that.
Tishner was one of many scared students who hid in their classrooms when 17-year-old Austin Rollins opened fire, injuring a 16-year-old girl he knew and a 14-year-old boy.
I went out into the hallway to check out to see what is going on.
Tishner says he did not see the students who were shot, but he saw the moment that Rollins was confronted by school resource officer Deputy Blaine Gaskell.
And he's behind me, yelling at the boy. He's telling him, put the gun down, put the gun down. We know you don't want to hurt anybody else, put the gun down. And then after the last time he said that, he shot him. You hear 2 shots.
Rollins was pronounced dead shortly after.
Do you think that school resource officer is a hero?
Yeah. If he wasn't there, he probably would have, I don't know what he would have done. He had the gun to his head, but I don't know if he would have shot more students or just killed himself right there.
That was Annalisa Gale reporting. The Coast Guard brings in 36,000 pounds of cocaine seized on the high seas. It was all unloaded in San Diego yesterday. The cocaine comes from 17 different busts across Central and South America. Officials say the cocaine is worth about $500 million. They estimate that keeping it off the street will likely save hundreds of lives. A McDonald's teen employee in Wisconsin is shoved into a fryer over a mismade biscuit.
Surveillance video caught the whole thing. You can see the 17-year-old worker gets violently pushed and she hits her head on the fryer. Officials say it started when a woman was going through the drive-thru and she was given a sausage biscuit instead of the bacon biscuit she ordered. You can see her toss the order back inside the window. Police say the manager then gave her the correct order, but she still came back.
She gives her the order, she refunds her money 100% and gives her apologies. But at this point, apparently it wasn't good enough for our suspect.
That's when the teen tried to step in and help and was shoved. The teen is going to be okay. Police are hoping the surveillance video will help find the suspect.
A winter storm dumps almost a foot of snow across parts of Kentuckiana. This is a live look from downtown Louisville. You can see the streets are getting better, but you still need to keep a safe distance between the cars. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
WDRB weather, sponsored by VisionWorks, Doctors of Optometry.
Well, happy first full day of spring, and on this first full day of spring, we are smashing records left and right. We smashed one yesterday for the amount of snow that we saw, and today the old record was 1 inch of snow. We've seen 8.4 in downtown at the airport, which is what's going to go down on our record books, and also for how much the snow depth is. It used to be 6 inches, and that was in 1996. So we're smashing records again left and right. Lots of photos being sent in to us, and we appreciate that. Dennis in J-Town, the ruler almost gone at this point. It's around 10 inches of snow there. And then this photo from Cheryl in Highview, and you see that tree and how it's just being weighted down by how heavy the snow is. And that is a problem across the area. We're getting lots of reports of trees being down and also some power lines, and there are some spotty power outages across the area. Snow totals and counting, because some places are still continuing to see snow. At the National Weather Service office, which is a different location than the International Airport, 11.6, Hillview, 11.5, Fairdale at 10, Floyd's Knob, 9.8, and LaGrange at 8 inches of snow. And again, some of these were taken at different times this morning. For example, LaGrange was at 9 in the morning or so. Some places have continued to see that snow, so we're going to be updating these totals for you all day long. The good thing is not everyone has continued to see this band of snow. There's basically one area that continues to see it, and it's right over the metro area. It's been wavering and now continuing to push down to the south just a bit, but basically it's been constant for the past several hours. And you can see that there's some spots where there's these darker colors. That's where you're going to see even higher totals. The good news is that this band of snow does look to wrap up in the next couple of hours, but that's still a couple of hours of some heavy snow in locations. So this is what we're looking at for advanced track. You see this band of snow, and it basically just completely dissipates by about 1 to 3. But I'm going to leave a couple of flakes until about 5 p.m. The good news there is that at 5 p.m., the evening commute should be a lot easier than what it was earlier this morning. Notice how clear it gets tonight, though. And temperatures are going to be able to drop. If it clears that quickly, we could have some refreezing problems because temperatures are going to get a lot colder because we have this snowpack that's on the ground, and the models just don't handle snowpack as well as what it usually happens. So I have updated the snow total map because clearly we're seeing some places that are close to a foot or even over a foot in some spots, and that's right over the metro area. It might have to be expanded just a little bit out to the west based on where the current band is at. And then of course other locations, this huge area of this dark blue, 5 to 10 inches of snow. And this is what it looks like outside in one of our sky cams right now. Not much to see downtown. 31 degrees with winds out of the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. So it's breezy right now and it feels like 21 degrees. Some other temperatures across Kentuckiana. We're all hanging around the freezing point. Once the snow stops, I do think that we'll be able to increase just a bit before we really drop down by tonight. I'm going with a low, pretty chilly. So snow ends. I have that exclamation point because I think we're all ready for it to wrap up. 40% chance for that, and it will wrap up in the next couple of hours, but that can add to the snow totals for those areas that are seeing that band right now. 25 degrees for tonight, cold and clearing with a northwest wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Thursday looks great, dry, and then we'll start to bring in a few more clouds on Friday. Notice that there's a few showers trying to get into our area during the afternoon, but I think that this rain is really going to hold off until the end of the day on Friday and then continuing into Saturday. You see this, that little bit of a wintry mix there. It's going to be something that we're watching the next couple of days, as it looks like it's going to be a cold rain for most of us, but I do think there's a potential for a wintry mix in parts of the area. It will wrap up on Sunday, so Thursday's dry, chilly temperatures, PM rain on Friday. I do think it's going to be mainly late in the day. We get to 50 degrees. That'll help melt some of the snow that we got across the area, and then a mix to rain on Saturday, 90% chance. So it's a really high percentage there, but Sunday looks better. We'll show you that entire 7-day coming up in the next half hour.
All right, Katie, thank you. Snow's still piling up in our area and it's still coming down. Here's a picture Jerry McLean posted on Facebook from Mount Washington. The ruler in the snow shows 8 inches. How many more inches we can get and the areas that we'll see the most.
It may be spring, but winter just refuses to give up. This is a live look from downtown Louisville. You can see snow covering some of the parking lots, sidewalks, some grassy areas, but the roads are looking better.
Long John Silver's tests the waters with a new concept in Louisville. WDRB's Jessica Bard reveals how the restaurant is bringing the deep blue sea to the bluegrass state with something it's never done before.
Working in food's been something I always been loved to do.
Greg Early whips up fish sandwiches and platters at Long John Silver's every day.
Make sure that my fryers and everything's up to temp.
But this is the first time he's doing it using a grill. All of this used to be fried.
It's gonna be big.
It's the first time we put grills into Long John Silver's.
Every restaurant in the 40-year-old Louisville-based chain is getting a total makeover.
Let's go.
From the outside into the dining area, the kitchen to the menu. They'll serve grilled seafood and new desserts like these.
We call this the flagship of our fleet.
This restaurant at the corner of Westport Road and Goose Creek Road is one of the first in the country to get the upgrade.
We've already opened about 10 restaurants that look like this already.
The transformation will be slow. CEO James O'Reilly says Louisville will see one more in the next year.
We have a few new ones in southern Indiana.
He says the next closest updated Long John Silver's is in Bedford, Indiana.
The restaurant has an updated drive-through with a new digital menu and a confirmation board.
Hi, thank you for choosing the new Long John Silver's. How may we help you today?
The speaker system is louder and clearer than before.
And eventually every Long John Silver's in the country will be rebranded.
Rise up. I think the customers are gonna really love it.
Just like this one Early works at here in Louisville. Jessica Bard, WDRB News.
Ford releases a new device to help owners of older cars add new features. The Ford Pass Smart Link will let owners turn their cars into wireless hotspots and add other connected car features. It'll be available later this year for Ford models made between 2010 and 2017.
The often criticized I-STEP exam will likely stay in place for 2 more years for Indiana high school students. The General Assembly approved a bill to delay the switch until the spring of 2022. That's when high school juniors will instead be tested with a national college entrance exam like the SAT or ACT. Officials say keeping the 10th grade I-STEP exam for now is more practical than creating a new test for 2 years. The I-STEP exam faced complaints about how long it takes to take it and the wait time for results. Elementary and middle school students will start a new test called iLearn next spring. Here's what's trending on WDRB.com. An accused child molester sits behind bars today thanks to a school cafeteria worker. The action the woman took when she overheard a disturbing conversation at a lunch table.
3 family members and another man are accused of embezzling more than $1 million from a Bullitt County business. How they reportedly ran the scheme. Wooden pallets fuel the flames at a southern Indiana business. The animals firefighters were able to rescue from a nearby yard.
Those are just some of the stories you can check out on our website. Stay with us for today's top stories. WDRB News at Noon starts now.
It just continues to keep snowing. There is an end in sight. I'm going to tell you how much we've seen and when it will finally stop snowing coming up.
Snow is still falling and covering much of Kentuckiana. I'll show you how the snow is measuring up in Fairdale.
As investigators closed in on the suspected bomber terrorizing Austin, Texas, police say he blew himself up.
We do not understand what motivated him to do what he did.
The reason investigators think the danger isn't over yet.
Thanks for staying with us on WDRB News at Noon. I'm Valerie Chin.
And I'm Rachel Collier. Spring starts off with a winter storm, dumping snow all over Kentuckiana.
We sent the WDRB Skycam up this morning to give you a look at New Albany. This is I-265 near State Street.
Katie McGraw is outside to let us know when we will get some relief from the winter weather. Katie.
I do think that we have a couple more hours, especially in the areas that are currently still seeing some of the heaviest snow, and that's just basically to the south of downtown now, where we did see quite a bit downtown, but while I'm standing here, even though it's still snowing, it's more like a flurry at this point. Eventually, we're all going to get to that point, but we still have a couple more hours of that, as I mentioned. I think probably between 1 and 3 is when we're all going to start to notice that it really starts to taper off. A couple of pictures to show you. This photo sent in to us from E-Town. Gorgeous shot, really. We have gotten a lot of really picturesque pictures this morning and afternoon. And then this one in Mount Washington showing that the ruler's almost gone. 11 inches of snow there. And we do have some spots that are getting very close to a foot. At the National Weather Service offices, in fact, they're at 11.6. Now, at the airport, it's not as high there. That's what's going to go down in the almanac, but we still broke a record. This is what the radar is showing us right now, looking at the storm as a whole, and you see that it's churning in that area that just set up right over us. Why we saw such high totals, and that band was right over the metro area, and now it just wavers just a slightly bit to the south. That's going to dissipate soon in the next couple of hours, and you can see that when we look at this hour by hour, that we are going to see improvements over the next couple of hours. I go from about a 40-30% chance at 1 p.m. by 3 p.m. going to a 20% chance, 5 p.m. for that evening commute down to a 10% chance. You might see a couple of flurries, but really by tonight, we're going to have decreasing clouds. It's going to get cold, and refreezing could be a concern because we do have a very wet snow that we're dealing with. What we're going to talk about when I get back inside, when the snow completely ends, we'll show you that on advanced track. How much snow we saw across the area will give you a couple of totals. And also, we're going to talk about this weekend and how we're not quite done with the wintry weather. Talking about snow totals, one of the highest areas that we've seen was in the Fairdale area. That's where we find our Lexi Ratterman.
Snow is still falling just a little bit here in Fairdale and many other places around Kentuckiana. Just since we've been here today, I measured right around 7 inches just here in Fairdale. Now, earlier today, the National Weather Service measured around 8 inches at the airport, and that includes yesterday and today's snowfall. The last time we had snow, or let me rephrase that, the last record we had for today, March 21st, would have been back in 1885 with just 1 inch of snowfall, and we have obviously blown that record out of the water. And as the snow continues to fall, KYTC is trying to keep roads like this as clear as they possibly can. Just minutes ago, a plow came through here trying to get this lane here cleared out. However, the problem is with the snow continuously falling, as soon as they plow it, the snow seems to cover it again. So KYTC is simply asking people to be patient as they are out traveling today.
We don't have enough trucks to cover every single road, to assign one truck to each road. We just don't have those resources. I don't think any state or county agency has that. We just ask people to be patient. We do get to them.
KYTC has deployed around 120 crews, that's from last night and today, trying to get the roads as safe and clear as possible. However, they're not the only ones working hard during this snowstorm. WDRB's Gilbert Coursey is near the Highlands with what LG&E is trying to do to keep everyone safe and ready to go during this snowstorm. Gilbert?
That's right, Lexi. I'm on Grinstead Drive in front of Cherokee Park. In front of me, the road is closed, and above me, you can see why. That's about a 60-foot tall hackberry tree up from its root that has tipped over onto the power lines. Right now, LG&E is working to get the lights back on to about 3,000 customers impacted by this outage. It cuts straight through the Highlands, down Grinstead Drive, and connects to Bardstown Road, and has even knocked out some of the traffic lights in the area as well. This heavy, wet snow weighs hard on trees and tree limbs, bending some all the way to the ground. It caught people like Brian Beckley by surprise. He woke up in the dark, no power, then slid out here on Grinstead Drive on his way to work, just in front of the place where that tree is dangling over the road.
I'm very surprised because I didn't see, because just a couple of days, we have like a spring day, and I didn't expect to see no more snow. And just today, we see like a December day. It's like a December day today.
Back here live, this tree is up from its root. It's actually being held up and off the road by the power lines. This is the biggest outage in Louisville, according to the LG&E maps right now. We're also tracking things in southern Indiana. Duke Energy has about 2,000 people out, mostly hardest hit in the Floyd's Knobs area. So I talked to crew people out here. Here's the plan. They are working on a workaround right now to get power to those 3,000 customers restored. They hope to have this line repaired, this tree up and out of the way, and the road open back here on Grinstead Drive in time for that afternoon commute at 5 o'clock. Reporting live in the Highlands, Gilbert Coursey, WDRB News.
Gilbert, thank you. The snow is causing some problems on the road. Felicia Bailey sent us this picture of some trees down in Houston Acres off Taylorsville Road. Tammy sent us this picture from Fern Creek. You can see the snow covering her whole front yard. And Tammy Jacobs says this is what spring looks like in Bullitt County. Not really what you think you'll be dealing with a month and a half before Derby. We want to see your snow pictures. Be sure to post them on the WDRB Facebook page.
The suspect in the bombings terrorizing Texas is dead, but investigators are warning the public there may be more bombs in the Austin area. Officials say 24-year-old Mark Anthony Condit killed himself overnight when he set off a bomb inside his car. He was parked outside a hotel at the time, and a SWAT team was closing in. Investigators believe Condit made all the bombs in the attacks that have killed 2 people and hurt several others. Residents are asked to report anything that seems suspicious or out of place.
We will be here as long as it takes with our partners to figure out exactly what happened, why it happened, and how it happened.
President Donald Trump tweeted out this morning, Austin bombing suspect is dead. Great job by law enforcement and all concerned. 4 people have filed a lawsuit against Waffle House after being exposed to hepatitis A. A Waffle House worker infected with Hep A worked at both locations in Boyd County, Kentucky. Customers were exposed to the virus between February 12th and 28th. The lawsuit is seeking compensation for anyone who ate at either location during that time period.
The Louisville Cardinals basketball season is over.
It's tough, just with everything we've been through. We went through a lot, so it's even tougher today. We lost at home by a lot. They came, they competed, they outplayed us. But the biggest thing is, regardless of today or the results of that have been happening the whole year, we're still going to stay together, and that's the biggest thing.
The Cards lost 79-56 last night to Mississippi State. Ray Spalding led Louisville with 13 points and 11 rebounds for his 11th double-double of the season. The Cardinals only shot 35% from the floor. Mississippi State led by at least 9 points for the better part of 3 quarters. After the game, Spalding said he would test the NBA draft waters, but was not planning on hiring an agent. Several other players said they would wait for more clarity on the coaching situation before making a decision.
Accumulating snow in spring. This is a live look from the southern part of Jefferson County. You can see the roads look wet. They look clear though. The sidewalks, yards, still covered in snow. Roads are looking good though. We'll be right back. The snow is still falling and it's going to accumulate even more. Meteorologist Katie McGraw is tracking how much more to expect in your area. We'll be checking in with her in a bit and we'll bring you pictures to show conditions throughout Kentuckiana.
The church that Bullitt County lawmaker Dan Johnson led before he committed suicide is now fighting for closure. WDRB's Sarah Sider explains why the church owes more than $2 million.
A judge issued an order which says the Heart of Fire church you see behind me should be sold in a public auction.
How sweet the sound.
The Heart of Fire Church was home to preacher Dan Johnson. The Bullitt County lawmaker founded it, and it's where his funeral was held 3 months ago.
There's no indication that his suicide and the 3 months since then really have anything to do with this situation. I mean, the court records make it very obvious that the construction loan going back some 10 years ago was not paid.
The church is now fighting foreclosure. Court records show it's in debt of more than $2.4 million.
The last balance for the interest, it was over $2.4 million, but even that was a couple of years ago, so it's probably much more now.
The case started in 2010 when Flynn Brothers Contracting sued the Danny Johnson Heart of Fire Ministries for work done to rebuild the church after a fire. HUD guaranteed the $1.5 million construction loan and assumed the church's mortgage.
Right now, HUD, the federal government, and the church are trying to work out a settlement to avoid having the property sold at a foreclosure auction.
The church could settle for an amount less than its current debt. The property could also be sold to help repay the millions owed.
It's, a more negotiated sale and not just whoever shows up at the courthouse to buy it kind of situation.
Johnson's widow, Rebecca, had no comment on the foreclosure. The church's attorney has not returned WDRB's call.
Foreclosure is kind of the last option, and usually everybody loses in that regard.
The auction will be delayed at least 3 months to try to reach a settlement first. In Fern Creek, Sarah Sidery, WDRB News.
It might be spring, but it still looks like winter out there. This is a live look from Muhammad Ali Boulevard, where the snow has stopped in downtown Louisville, but the roads still remain wet. Katie?
And you're right, it has stopped downtown. This band that was heaviest downtown just a couple of hours ago has wavered just a bit to the south and west. That's where we're seeing some of the highest snowfall totals at this point. We're going to talk about when this band finally dissipates coming up.
WDRB weather, sponsored by VisionWorks, Doctors of Optometry.
8.4 inches, that's what we've seen so far in SDF. That's for the International Airport. So that's what's going to go down in our almanac for today. And that's a smashed record. The old record for snowfall today is 1 inch. We also smashed a record for snow depth. That was 6 inches, and we broke one yesterday too. So just breaking them left and right across the area. A couple more photos to show you. This is in Shepherdsville. Seen just how high that snow is. Highest snowfall totals really have seemed to be right around Jefferson County, down into Bullitt, and now as that band of snow pushes down to the south, we might see a couple of some other higher totals as well down into Nelson and also into Hardin. This is a really cute one. Zunevit's sending this one in. The comment, I'll just stay right here where you can see that there's not as much snow. Cute little dog there. We've gotten so many photos in, and we thank you for that, along with showing the ruler of how much snow you have in your backyard, which is basically our weather warriors for you. We also have seen at the National Weather Service office, so it's a different location than the airport, 11.6 inches there. Hillview, 11.5. Fairdale at 10 inches, LaGrange 8 inches. Now these are all a couple hours old at this point, so they could be updated later today. And we'll be updating these graphics and of course doing blogs later today at 4 p.m. with Mark Weinberg. We'll have all the latest information again because that will be once the snow has wrapped up. Right now, you can see that with this loop of 6 hours, how a lot of the snow tapered off. But then there was this one band of snow that just continued to bring some higher snowfall totals in those areas that I mentioned right around the metropolitan area. Now, that band has wavered just slightly down to the south and west. But if you zoom in a little bit closer, that you can see right around E-Town into Hardin, over into Nelson, even the southern part of Jefferson County, and it continues up through Palmyra into Washington County. But the heaviest snow band still down into the south. That's where we could still see some minor accumulations over the next 2 hours or so. And I do think that most of this snow will be wrapping up between about 1 to 3. You notice at 5 p.m. we start to see some decreasing clouds. We might see a few final flakes before those clouds decrease, but if we see this much clearing tonight, it's going to get colder than what a lot of the data suggests because we have that snowpack on the ground and we could see some refreezing. So it's just something to keep in mind. 5 to 10 inches for a large chunk of our viewing area, but I also have this area highlighted in this purple, 10 to 12 inches, maybe even an isolated over a foot of snow in some places. Notice that does include most of Metro and then just slightly down to the south and a bit to the north as well. Not much to see on our sky cam right now, right at freezing. I do think that temperatures will increase, but it's breezy, so it's always going to feel colder than that. And a lot of other temperatures across the Kentuckiana region, we're looking at upper 20s to about the middle 30s. And I'm going today with a high of about 38 degrees. We have that 40% chance. That's what's happening right now. And that's going to be able to be dropped off in the next couple of hours. Cold and clearing for tonight. And as we get into Thursday, a beautiful day. But Friday, we're going to have some showers that move into the area at the end of the day. And I do think that on Saturday, we could have a wintry mix for some of us. A lot of us are going to have a cold rain for us on Saturday, but it does look like part of the area could have a wintry mix. So it's something we'll be watching. On Sunday, early, and we start to warm up next week, feeling a little bit more like spring with those 60s.
Those 60s look good to me, Katie. Thanks. Busy schedules are causing families to get less than an hour of time together some days.
New study looked at 2,000 American parents with school-age kids. It found that during the week, families get an average of 37 minutes of quality time together. On weekends, that time increases to 2 hours and 40 minutes. Long work hours, school schedules, and chores are being blamed. Even vacation is taking a hit. The average family says it only gets 7 days a year to get away together. That's very sad. Birth control pills may not just be for women much longer.
The new pill, called DMAU, is a combination of hormones. Researchers say when the pill is taken daily, it could bring a man's sperm count low enough that he wouldn't be able to get his partner pregnant. New trials show the pill can safely be given for more than one dose. It has yet to be tested for its success as contraception. Nobody was ready for this kind of weather. This is a live look from Fairdale. You can see it's a winter wonderland in spring. It looks beautiful. The roads are looking okay, though. We'll be right back.
Check out this little guy in Floyd's knobs. This picture comes from our executive producer, Kara Catlett. We'll continue to monitor road conditions and have another update for you at 4. Plus, we'll be live from Atlanta as the Cats get ready for the Sweet 16. Join us today for the news at 4.
It's a good thing this little boy understands Wookiee. His doctor dressed as Chewbacca and delivered the news that he's getting a new heart. His reaction was priceless. Austin is a patient at a children's hospital in Chicago and has been on the list for a heart transplant. The lucky news was delivered on St. Patrick's Day. He could hardly contain his excitement, and during his happy dance, his mom had to remind him to be careful that he was still hooked up to machines. So sweet.
With Chewbacca, every word sounds the same.
Yes.
Right? I wouldn't be able to understand.
No. So how long is the snow going to stick around?
I think the next couple of hours we'll be able to see that band finally taper off. And I've gotten a couple of emails asking about how much snow did we see in this location, that location. We've gotten tons of snow reports. It's going to be something that we do a blog on later today, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all those questions for you. The good thing is dry for most of Thursday and Friday, but something to watch is certainly Saturday.
Oh, look at next week with those 60s. Yes. I'm loving that. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here at 4.